Hello everyone, welcome to episode 43 of Reconstructing Cave Story. In this episode we're going to be implementing a particle system, and the problem we're facing is we want to have many particles on the screen at once, and we want them to be destroyed when they are done or expired or whatever you want to call it. So our solution is just going to have a particle system where we can add a new particle, and it's just going to be able to update and draw all the particles that it has currently. And so we'll want a particle interface because we're going to have more than just the head bump particle effect. And all it's going to have is just a bool update. So bool returning true if it's still alive and false if it's expired. And then a draw method to draw it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get started with the particle system. So we'll open up a new item, header file. Call it particlesystem.h. Header guards. And I got VSVin back, so I'm happy again. I'm so happy again. Okay, so it's just going to have those three methods: add new particle, update, and draw. So let's start with add new particle and not actually define it, just write it in, add new particle. And we're going to want to keep some kind of collection of particles. I'm just going to do boost shared pointer, it's easier. So let's include boost shared pointer. It's easier because it works with STL containers just fine. So let's add a new particle. Let's take in a shared pointer to a particle. Let's forward declare a particle. And take it in. So we're going to want some way to store them, and I'm just going to use a set. We could use a vector, but since we're going to be erasing particles in the middle, it just doesn't make sense to have a vector because that's just an array, and it's costly to erase pieces in the middle when you have an array. So I'm just going to use a set. I could use a list, but a set works just as well. Let's do a type def. So it'll be a standard set. Let's include set. It's going to be of boost shared pointers to particles. And I'll call this particle set. So we'll need a particle set. We'll call it particles. And for adding a new particle, all it's going to be is adding it to the set, which is just going to be particles.insert particle. Now let's skeleton write the declarations for our update. Update is going to be void. Our particles themselves are going to be bool updates, but for the particle system, we don't really care if it returns a value, so we'll just make it void. So void update, taking in an elapsed time, so let's include units. And it's going to take it, and it's also going to have a draw method. So draw graphics. And I think that's all we need. Now we need to fill in our update and draw methods. But before we can actually do that, we really need a particle interface to work with. So let's create a particle interface. Let's go to add, new item, particle header, particle.h. This isn't going to have that much in it. It's just going to have a virtual bool update, taking in an elapsed time, so we need to include units again. And it's going to be equal to 0 because this is just an interface. Same kind of thing for draw, void, draw, graphics. Let's for declare graphics. And let's make a virtual destructor. And implement our virtual pure destructor, because that's what C++ requires. Yeah, I think that's it. So now we can go back to particlesystem.h. Let's open up a corresponding CC file. So add new item, particle system. Include particlesystem.h, and let's implement update and draw. This is bool. No, it's not. It's void. So particle system.h. So for update, we're just going to want to iterate over. Well, let's start with draw. That's easier. So for draw, we just want to iterate over all the particles. We'll say for particle set iter equals particles dot begin. Iter not equal to particles dot end. And so what we're going to want to do is just draw it. So we'll do start iter, and let's include particle so we have that interface. And we can just call draw with graphics. And that's all there is to draw. Update's a little trickier because we're going to have to do that thing where we delete things in the middle of the loop. So we'll have to actually iterate inside the loop, or increment our iterator inside the loop. So let's get rid of this iter plus plus inside of this for loop, inside of the parentheses of the for loop. We got rid of the plus plus iter, and instead we're going to say if, let's update it and check the return value. So start iter, update, giving it elapsed time. If that's true, then we just increment our iterator like normal because we aren't doing anything with it. But if it's false, that means we need to get rid of the particle. So let's do else, and we'll do particles dot erase iter plus plus, and be done with that iter, and be done with that particle. And that'll take care of the particle and its destructor because it's a shared pointer. So let's see, is there anything else I need? No, so I'm going to build this just to see if this runs, or see if it builds. We aren't actually using it yet, but let's take some time to implement our head bump particle effect. So I'm going to go into game class and replace our let's open game.h to game.cc and game.h. I'm going to replace this head bump particle with our particle system because, yeah, particle system.h. And we'll call this, doesn't need to be a pointer. We'll just call it particle system. Go into game.cc and fix all these new errors we have. So instead of particle.reset, let's construct a shared pointer. to a particle. Ooh, let's make head bump particle a particle. So I'm going to open up head bump particle.h, and this is going to be really easy. I'm just going to include particle and make it derive from particle. And we've already implemented it, so that's all well and good, and that's all we need to do. So, sorry, back to GameCC. Let's construct a new particle and add it to our particle system. So let's go particle system dot add new particle, and we'll give it a boost shared pointer that we are constructing instead of calling particle dot reset. So I'll bring this all on the screen so you guys can see it. We'll need to include head bump particle because I got rid of that include head bump particle dot h. Okay, it seems to be happy, so let's go down to where we were actually updating and drawing the particle, and instead update and draw the particle system. So particle system dot update, giving it elapsed time in milliseconds, and particle system dot draw. And so if we build it and run it, I should expect to see a particle effect. And if it shows up on my other screen, it shows up on my other screen and I can't get it over here fast enough, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it for now. But let's just go ahead and implement our particle effects so that it actually occurs when it's supposed to occur, i.e. when quote hits his head on this ceiling, so that we can all see it and all enjoy it for what it is. So this is going to happen inside of our player's update y method. So we're going to need to pass in, okay, so we need two things to create a particle. We need a particle system and a graphics object in order to create it. And then, I mean, the player itself has the position to place it and boost shared pointer. Yeah, so it's just these two things. So I'm going to actually collect those two things into a struct, and I'll put it inside a particle system just to make it easier. And I think I'll just call it particle tools for lack of a better name, particle tools. And it's just going to have a reference to the particle system. Maybe I'll just call it system. And it's also going to have a graphics. And this just makes it easier. We only need to pass in one object to our player class. And we're going to be passing it into the update method, so let's see. So I'm going to close a lot of these now. And I'm going to get rid of this add new particle thing because we're not going to do it inside of, this has just been for a test and we're not going to use it there anymore. And close game.h. So let's open player.h and player.cc and take in a particle tools object or reference to it. Player.h, player.cc. So let's start in player.h. First of all, I'm going to for declare it because we're just going to take in a reference to it. So particle tools. And our update is going to take in a particle tools. It's not going to be const particle tools. And then our update y is where we check to see if we hit our head on the ceiling. So let's add that to our update y as well. Not like that. So now we can go into our player CC class, include particle system, fix our update methods, pass it to update y, and then go down to update y and fix it, and then use it. Okay, update X, here's update Y. Okay, so we're going to use our head bump particle effect anytime we do a top collision. So you see top collision here. So if info.collided, let's set the Y position and then set our, we'll create a particle effect. So that's inside of particle tools dot system dot add new particle, and we'll add a shared pointer to a particle. And we're going to create a new head bump particle effect, so let's include that particle effect. And go back down here where we were updating, right here. So add new particle, and we'll just create a new head bump particle effect. We'll create it at our center X. So we'll give it graphics first of all, but graphics is inside of our particle tools. So particle tools dot graphics, and we'll give it our center X, and the center Y is for this is going to be at the top of our head, and so that's going to be Y plus our K collision top. Let's see, K collision Y top. And this is, remember, like 2 game units, so it's, I think, right? Yeah, 2 game units, so it's Y plus the 2 game units, so that it's right where the collision happens between our head and, yeah. Okay, so that'll add a particle there, and then there's one more place where we do a top head collision, so let's add it there too. And then we need to go into game CC, and we can get rid of this particle, head bump particle, but we need to call our player CC with this particle tools. We need to call player update with particle tools. So let's create a particle tools. Particle tools. We'll just give it, let's see, what order did I do it in? Ugh. So giving it the system and the graphics. So the system is going to be particle system. And the graphics is just going to be graphics. Oh, let's pass in graphics to our game update. So I'll open game.h because we need to create a particle tools inside of our update method. I guess I could just create a particle tools inside here. No, I couldn't do that. That's not easy. So I'll just pass it in like we pass it into draw. And go back to game CC. When we update, we'll pass in graphics, no big deal. And we'll pass in particle tools to our player update method. And I think that should do it. I'm going to build and run, and we should see a beautiful particle effect whenever a quote hits his head on the ceiling. Yeah. Get lost. Whew. Okay. Let's see if it worked. Yes, it worked. Oh my goodness. It looks so good too. And there's so many of them. There's one more thing I want to do just to make sure that everything's working as it should. In head bump particle CC, I check. No, I don't. It's all good. So ignore that. That's fine. We can look at this and enjoy this as I give you a little outro. So this has been a fun episode to do because now we have a cool particle effect and it kind of is starting to look like the real game, which is very nice indeed. So thanks for watching and happy developing.